Well, I'd love to say good morning, friends, but this is not one of those days that I start the day by saying, because it's not a good morning for us. I'm taking the flight I dread the most, that flight from Kisumu, where our journey back to hell begins. We are heading back to Long Beach, California. And for those of you who watch our channel regularly, you already know we go back and forth between Karating in Western Kenya and Long Beach, California. And hopefully our plan is to permanently settle in Karating. That way, we might only just need to come to the US here and there, maybe once every few years, not every year. But in the meantime, I have to make this painful 22-hour flight from Kisumu through whichever stopping point we are using all the way back to California. And in truth, when I use the word hell in reference to diaspora, really on our part, I would say that may be a little bit of a hyperbole, since diaspora has really been kind to my family in general. Sometimes I wonder what my life story would have been like had I never made it to living outside Kenya. In fact, I suspect most likely I would have been married much younger. I would have had kids in my early 20s. And being an educator, maybe I would have been a principal, high school principal, or I would have made my way into higher education. But I also believe that maybe I would have never left Kenya, because all my life, leaving Kenya was never an important goal. It's not until my brother left for Texas that I actually started thinking about it seriously. But I was perfectly comfortable just doing me in Kenya. I suspect by now I would have diabetes because it's very prevalent in my community. And I say that because a lot of us are not accustomed to doing annual checks and being very careful with what we eat. And so lots of people have diabetes in my family. And for me, I was diagnosed as pre-diabetic at some point. And so I'm a lot more conscious, but I could see how that would have been my fate early in life. Most likely I would have maintained the same belief systems around religion, gender, culture, and all that stuff. So anyway, join me, folks. Join me on our journey back to California. We're going to be in the US just for a few days. I'm only here briefly, and then I'm heading back to my first love, which is Karating. I've got a few things coming up this month. The month of May is going to be busy because I've got students who are graduating. I need to get them through the finish line and see them celebrate. We've got to come to do our annual checks, annual physicals. I need to get teeth cleaned, both for us and the kids. And I've got a few things, my due business that I need to handle before I can return finally to paradise in a couple of days. So I'm not going to be here for much longer. In a few days, we'll be back doing what we do best in the village. So this is really going to be a very busy summer for me. I've got quite a few clients for whom I'm doing a variety of tasks. There's a lot of work that we're doing at different stages. Some of them right now, we're actually searching for land in different parts of Kenya for people who want to return to Kenya. A lot of the projects are in the architectural stage. Some have been drawn completely. Others we're still working on cleaning up. And then we've got almost 4 projects that are lined up to be started in the next couple of weeks. There's a few interior works going on. And so I anticipate this is going to be a busy summer. So I can't wait to finish my business in California and head back to what I really love doing. And so if you're one of those folks who is in need of the things I've listed, whether it's land, architectural works, builders, interiors, hit me on the number below and I'll be happy to connect you with people who might be useful in your journey. So anyway, 60% of those who watch and enjoy our content have not subscribed. So please check if you're one of those. We'd appreciate your subscription. So, and again, in all, when I think about my journey from Karating in the village, looking at this flight heading towards Nairobi, truly my biggest regret is that I did not start planning on returning to Africa early enough. I'm pretty sure I would be in a very different spot if I had started planning early. But, it's never too late to begin. So my family and I have been doing a lot of things in the last 6 years to prepare for our final return. And so I would say that this is hardly surprising because most of us who move from Kenya really require a few years to settle in. And so it's not easy to begin thinking about returning in the first couple of years. And here are some of the problems that come about. Number one, for people like me who left Kenya as students, then you have the pressure of staying on an F1 visa, the fees, legal paperwork, and all the other nightmares that come with being a student. The time it takes to just settle in, get accustomed to the culture. You've got bills to pay. Most likely you're earning minimum wage. You've got family responsibilities waiting for you at home. And at that point, obviously, you don't have permanent residency because a student visa is considered a non-resident, a non-immigrant visa. And so it takes a little bit of some time to settle for some of us, not all of us, of course. And like all of us in diaspora, at a personal level, I have experienced both sides of diaspora, the wonderful parts of the diaspora, and some of the most painful things that happen to people in diaspora. And just to highlight a few things that have been amazing in my life in diaspora is I'm walking away. I walked away out of graduate school. I've got 3 degrees, 2 of them in America. I walked away with 0 debt at all. No financial aid. I mean, no student loans at all. And I remember at my doctoral program, I was at a program where they were paying for me about $40,000 per year. And this was not a loan. The American people paid for it, something I'm eternally grateful for. The people in America gave me a career. I've spent half of my life in America in a great career that I really enjoy. I've gotten to raise a family. We are still working on it. I got to meet a wonderful woman who became my wife. And I've got to enjoy some of the best of what the Western world offers in terms of comforts. So no matter where my journey moves, I'm always going to be very grateful for the experience of coming to live in diaspora. So even though I talk about returning to Africa, even though I talk about the problems in the West, I will not fail to mention some of the things that I know I would have never had it not been for the journey into the United States. So with all those good things present, again, there's always parts of it that are tough. At some point in my life, I was literally homeless in America. Even my own brother didn't even know at the time. I had to inform him much later on. I remember years when I would work like 100 hours a week. I could barely sleep. In fact, I don't think my sleep system has corrected from that mess. Because when you do years of working around the clock, it somehow messes with your system. I'm yet to recover from that. I remember telling myself when I left graduate school that one of the things I'm going to do is to really sleep. It's been almost 15 years since I graduated. I sleep very little, maybe 4 to 6 hours, then I'm good. And so there are parts of the Western world that were challenging. I remember having a really bad accident because I was literally falling asleep behind the wheel driving. I had not slept for 2 days straight. I was just literally falling asleep. And many people have died doing that. And then the terror of living in the US as a non-citizen is on another scale. The only way to understand it is to not have papers in the US. Those years were tough, and I can only imagine how much worse it is now for people who don't have papers in the US. I remember when my older brother nearly died in Texas. So I've seen some of the ugly things that happen in the West. Definitely not the worst. I've seen worse things, but not, my experiences have been tough, but not the tail end of things. Now, on the tail end of things, here are some examples of things that happen to people. I've got a friend whose son actually was shot and killed right here in Long Beach. A Kenyan kid, well raised, but life happened and the young man was shot and killed. I've got friends whose kids are really hooked onto drugs and their lives are extremely messed up. Very good kids that were well raised, and then life happened and then their lives are just messed up. We've got kids who went to school and were bullied to oblivion. Have seen some of the worst form of racism you can imagine. I've got people I know in my circle whose kids actually committed suicide in America. I know people in my circle who were deported with nothing to return to. I'm aware of some Kenyans who are in jail, even as we speak right now, for things that were not even their fault. So I'm telling you, friends, that the Western world can be really cruel. I've got friends who have divorced, and literally lost everything. I've got two of my really, really good friends who did so well, got married, and then life fell apart. They divorced and have lost literally everything they worked for decades. People who are homeless, people who have really been brutalized by police. One of my neighbor's son was actually killed by police officers in Richmond, Virginia. I used to live in Richmond, Virginia many years ago. And these are kids I knew. I believe it was last year or the other year. The other young man was killed by cops. So the Western world, as I say, can be really, really cruel. Some people in the Arabian world, I hear cases of slavery still going on. Challenges with mental health in ways that you would not imagine in Kenya. People going bankrupt. Some of them because of medical bills, others because life just happens. And the worst part of it is that there are some of us who come as passengers and return home as cargo. The other day you saw in my video, I was talking about this young woman who was shot and killed by an ex. The people who are victims of crime, the people who have died in accidents. And the other day too, I saw a video of Kenyans jumping out of a high-rise building when there was some kind of a fire. And this man had the choice of either dying in the fire or jumping off and dying while they're hitting the ground. And so, my friends, the Western world can be cruel. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, there's somebody who used to be a friend. That man has simply vanished. Nobody knows where he is. So right now, his brother has passed on in Kenya. The family in Kenya is looking for him. We don't know where he is, and no one can find him. Things can really happen in the Western world in a way that if you're asking for what hell looks like, I assure you, we'll find hell here. While you can find a paradise couched within, hell is also very much available. We may not always talk about these things, but they do happen. So friends, this is the kind of hell that is driving us back to the village. And these are the kinds of misery that is really pushing up back to the village. And as you've heard me say before, the longer you stay in diaspora, the stronger your desire to go back. And the more you travel back and forth, the more you realize that you just want to be home. Sometimes I just want to be next to my mother. I'm a grown man with a family and kids and all that, but sometimes all I want is just to be next to my mother. That's it. Well, friends, welcome to the United States. Welcome to California. Hang out with me. I still have videos that I'm going to be posting from Kenya. Videos shot in Kenya. And then in just a couple of days, we'll be back on the ground doing what we do best. Thank you, folks, and welcome to California. Bye.